don't know what you want from me. It's like you playing a game of Bloody Mary or something. But here I go. Here I go.
Zeno, you killing it.
M Rain, such a shame I gotta do this to you, but you keep poking and prying, so I'ma give it to you. Anytime I see you, know what's up with me. Why you keep on calling my name? What you want from me? Could it be the fortune and fame you gain from energy? A predator is who you be, unbind those energies so we can see that you really weak. Tell your minions stand down, they don't really want this heat. Tell them that this war that we in, it's just you and me. All those curses flow from your grin. I speak it fluently, talking about what you gon' do to me. I violate you intrusively, pay your damn bill, that tax lien is waiting patiently. Get the gab is all we see, foot on neck so you can't breathe. Bet you didn't know I was a beast when I ride the beat, standing 10 toes down in my lane. I don't know defeat, now I'm calling my energy back to me happily, but actually the savage me is ready for a massacre. Just in case you was confused, that was a wordplay on massacre. Yeah. You want to keep going back and forth? Round for round, pound for pound. Let's go, or stand down. You unleashed the beast. First lady.
Hey, everybody. Lavette Min here, the brand educator.
Hey. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Shara Prophet, the behavior modification specialist. What's up?
Shara, I'm excited about this deep dive and this exposure or this expose that we're getting ready to deep dive into on tonight.
Yes, me too. It's a long time coming for this one.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Ashley Grayson was sentenced to 10 years. And on Thursday, December 19th, she turned herself in to start serving out that time. So today, we're taking a deep dive into the shocking rise and fall of this woman who branded herself as a self-made mogul and digital entrepreneur, only to become the center of a federal investigation and a RICO conviction. According to her, she went from homelessness to building a successful credit repair digital company, only to be indicted on a red rum for hire plot. Red rum, spell that backwards, okay? Red rum for hire plot and FBI involvement. So Ashley Grayson's story is one that started out as, one of ambition, but quickly turned into one of deception and ultimate exposure. So let's get into that. Anything you would like to share on that, Cheryl?
All I have to say about this is that it's a classic story of, especially in our community, of what people are drawn to, which is the lifestyle. And in this case, the lifestyle was fake, was a fraud. And this is something that we see a lot with these influencers, not just in our community either. It's everybody, it's not just brown folks, black folks, it's all across the board with this. But yeah, I'm ready to dive into this and get into it.
So am I. So let's start with the backstory that Ashley Grayson sold to her audience, right? So in the beginning, she claimed to have been homeless, worked at the post office, sold drugs, survived DV, and so much more. Now, according to the truth that has been revealed, okay, let's start at the very beginning. Ashley Grayson claimed to have built her multi-million-dollar business solely off of the business itself, right? So her, deciding to get into the credit repair industry, um, putting together a very profound marketing strategy. And over time, it grew into a multi-million dollar company. And it also garnered an astronomical amount of engagement from a really, really large fan base, right?
Yeah.
So part of her story, how she was able to pull these people in, is creating this narrative of rags to riches,
Mhm.
starting from the bottom, and now I'm here. So she had claimed to, as I said in the beginning, she sold drugs, she faced eviction, she had been homeless, she was in volatile and violent and unhealthy relationships. Um, and while she was working at the post office, she started fixing and working on her credit. As she began to share her results, people began to become interested. They wanted to learn more from her, as far as like, wow, I see that, you're working on your credit score is going up. Can you help me? So I remember listening to one of her videos, and she talked about helping 100 people for free. She didn't charge them anything. She
Mhm.
helped 100 people for free. In turn, they shared their stories, and then it just catapulted from there, right?
Right.
But the truth has been revealed since the exposure of Ashley Grayson has, started to unravel. So Ashley Grayson was working at a manufacturing company. I don't remember the name of the company. I want to say it's Pompeii. Pompei. That's what's coming up right now. I believe it was Pompeii. And
Mhm.
she was working at this company. Um, One day her hand got caught in the conveyor belt, and she lost, for sure, I know, a pinky finger.
Hmm.
Okay. Because of that accident, of course, she filed a workers' comp claim and suit, and she won. They settled with her for $1 million. Okay. She took that $1 million and she began to create this luxurious lifestyle. And she began to portray that on social media, which we know is known as lifestyle marketing and also attraction marketing. Okay. Because of that, like you said, Shara, many of us, we're drawn to the glitz and the glam, and we're enamored by that. And we, sometimes we ask the questions like, wow, I wonder what she did, or I wonder what he did to be able to create this life for themselves. And that draws us in, and we begin to follow them and listen to their stories. And over time, we begin to invest in them and support them. So that was the truth, but that wasn't known for a very long time,
Mhm.
because, again, the story that she painted is that she got it out of the mud when it came to building her business. For me, I think that her story would have been much more impactful, and it didn't have to lean too far into being fraudulent if she would have just been upfront and honest
Yeah.
about how she got started with her business, right?
Yep. 100%.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think that, you know, honesty is always the best way to approach anything, especially if you're going to be putting yourself in the public eye as a public figure. You're going to be on social media. You're going to be branding yourself, promoting your services and your business to people. It's just better to be honest, because what happens is eventually everything that you've lied about will come into light, and it's more embarrassing, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot more that you have to recover from when you are lying about what you're doing and how you got there. I think it would
Right.
have been, I agree with you 100%, it would have been far more impactful for her to show, like, look, okay, this unfortunate incident happened to me, I got a reward for it. And instead of me blowing my money on things,
Right.
I decided to invest my money in this business. This is how I did it. And then she could have brought people in as she was helping people. She could have had those people show how they started their business without $1 million. Like,
Right.
listen, I didn't have what Ashley had, but I still, with her help and her guidance, she helped me start my business, and I didn't even need $1 million. I think that would have been a better approach for her, and it would have been far more successful. She probably would still be in business and not about to do, what is she doing, 10 years?
10 years.
10 years because you lied, because you could not stand in your truth and you were too money hungry. And
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, yeah, I think it is money hunger and the need for money.
Mm-hmm.
But I also really think that a lot of it is for attention and a lot of it is power. Just
Yes.
being, I want the power and I want the notoriety. I want the fame. I want people to look at me as some sort of, God that can
Right.
do almighty, the almighty that can do all things. And I think that people get caught up in that. And that's why she's in the position that she's in right now.
Yeah, for sure. Power, fame, and attention can become very addictive once you start to get it. And once people put you on this pedestal and praise you and serve you as if you're some sort of God, you do get to a place where it becomes addictive. And then you find yourself having no boundaries, being willing to do and say whatever it takes in order to stay in that position. And that can become very dangerous. And that's what happened in this case, because when that was threatened, right,
Mm-hmm.
that is when she took it upon herself to engage in this red rum, for hire plot just to save face because the truth was being exposed. And that's very dangerous.
And
That's
that's
very
super dang.
dangerous.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because it drives you. People say they'll do anything to make
Mm-hmm.
sure they don't lose their lifestyle. They would do whatever it takes to make sure they protect their business, and which means you're willing to harm another human being. You are willing to steal, you know, pew pew,
Mm-hmm.
and everything else, just to make sure that you don't lose. And I think that that's a lot of that is because you are dealing with people who have never had anything, right? You're
Right.
dealing with people who come from a poverty-stricken background. Um, they Poverty does a lot of damage on a spiritual, mental, and emotional level.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that happens to people, um, you know, internally. So when people who were poverty stricken all of a sudden get money, what happens is they're so afraid to lose it that they are thrusted into like this. They're like in a perpetual fight flight, so anytime something feels like is being um anytime there is a danger of them possibly losing everything that they have, they're in fight flight, so they're going to do whatever it takes, right?
Right.
So that's why you see a lot of these celebrities right now, who are coming under fire and being exposed,
Mm-hmm.
and these influencers, it's all because along the line somewhere they felt that their livelihood was going to be threatened, and so they had to do something. They had to move somebody out of the way. They had to block somebody from getting their piece of the pie. They used whatever means, whether it was practical in the physical world or magically. They did these things to ensure that they remain in place and that they will not lose. And it doesn't matter who around them loses. They don't care about that. They just
Right.
care, I better not lose what I have, and you will not stand in my way. So that's the danger of people who have been impoverished for their entire lives, all of a sudden getting money, and not dealing with the internal part of them that is traumatized from the poverty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because that poverty is traumatizing. That's a trauma. And then doing anything it takes to keep these riches that you've all of a sudden gained, that's a trauma response. Um, And we have to start being more conscious and aware when we see people all of a sudden getting rich, and they have come from absolutely nothing. While the story is inspiring to so many, especially because the majority of the population is not wealthy, right? Um, so you have a lot of people who are drawn to that story, like you said earlier. But we have to be very, very conscious and aware of, okay, you had that background, but what have you done to heal yourself mentally and emotionally? Forget the fact that you got the money. That's fine, because money comes and money goes, right? Anybody can get money. But what have you done to sustain yourself in other ways so that you don't do harm to yourself or to others just to keep that money? I think that's the stuff that we need to start being more discerning about.
Not only being discerning about it, but just having more people like yourself, right? Those that are experts in that line of work, but getting that message out a lot more so that it lands on more ears and it resonates with more people. The reason why I say that is because how often, how often do you find someone that will say, hey, I know I came from a very, very traumatic childhood. I've endured so many traumatic events, so many, callous situations. But now I'm in this place where I'm finally on this path of success. My business is doing well, or I'm doing absolutely well in my career. But there's a lot of things that I need to work on internally, spiritually, and mentally. So, in order for me to stay on this path of fulfillment, right? I've finally been able to get on this path of fulfillment, and now I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with the decisions that I'm making. But in order for me to keep it, while creating this more healthier version of myself, I know that I need to work with someone, right? How often, or how many people do you think will have those type of conversations with themselves and then put themselves on that path of getting the help that they need to heal those past traumas and wounds so that they can not only, revel and enjoy the success that they have now, but enjoy it from a healthy place.
Not many,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
not many, because I think for most people, um, the goal is to be financially stable, financially independent, right? For a
Right.
lot of people, that is the goal. And the reason for that is because we're in a system that is designed to keep the 99% and the 1% the way it is. The system has been designed that way because the system was designed by certain forces and families um, to maintain the majority of the wealth. So that's not a secret. We know that that's true. That doesn't mean that you can't get what's yours. That doesn't mean that. It means that we live in an abundant universe, right? A limitless, abundant, friendly universe. No, regardless of what's happening here on this planet. But if you grew up with in poverty and you have a program that you're running on that says, the only way that I can be a better person, the only way that I can have everything that I want is if I have copious amounts of money, right? And then all of a sudden you get that money and now you think everything is okay. You think I don't need to do anything. I'm everything that I could have ever wanted, I have that right now. You're not thinking about the deep core wounds that have been created because of that poverty. And it's not just not having money, right? It's your environment. It's the people in the environment. It's the way the people interacted with each other in that environment. We're talking about generational programming that's been passed down through the bloodline, things that have not been broken 9 times out of 10. Your family has not been doing ancestral healing work, right? So you're not only fighting against the poverty itself, you're also up against the programming that the poverty has created through many, many, many generations in your bloodline. So if you are not willing to do the work that it takes to clear that, you may get rich, you may have a lot of money, but eventually, somewhere down the line, I don't care if it's 10 years, I don't care if it's 50 years, eventually, those programs are going to come and rise up to the surface and cause you to sabotage it in some way, shape, or form. And even if you don't lose all of your money, you may lose your family, you may lose your life, you may lose your freedom. There are things that you will do because you're running on a deficit. You're operating from a deficit when you have not cleared a lot of the ancestral programs or curses. And then you just come into this fortune. And now your main concern is holding on to the fortune. But the only way you can really hold on to the fortune and your freedom and your health and your happiness and your family is by clearing those programs. And most people don't do that.
Yeah, that was a mouthful, and I'm glad that did a deep dive on that, because I think it's important for all of us to understand the importance, how imperative it is to go within and do the work, right? Because as within, so without. And, if we can obtain all of the wealth and the riches and all of the glitz and glamour in life, but if we don't fix and heal the foundation and the root, it is only temporary. It is only temporary. So I'm so glad. Thank you for really expounding on that. That I think well, not I think, but that was very important for us to know.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the branding and marketing strategies that Ashley utilized to build the great platform that she built, even though unfortunately it was built on deception and deceit. But all in all, I won't take it away from her. She did a great job building a successful and highly engaging platform. So, like many other self-proclaimed business owners and entrepreneurs, she used very strategic strategies. So one of the strategies that I was able to identify is that she created a very empowering narrative. So her story of overcoming adversity, it resonated deeply with so many people who believed that they could follow her path to success. I remember when I first came across her brand, I even featured her in one of my newsletters back in, I don't know, maybe back in 2020. I was so in awe because I would notice, let's say she put up a post right now, within 20 minutes, and I'm not being hyperbolic, within 20 minutes, she'll have like 10,000 likes. And I was like, what did she do? I always
Wow.
wanted to know. Yeah, I'm like, what did she do from a marketing perspective, right? I'm like,
Mhm.
what did she do to build such an engaging brand and platform? What strategies did she utilize? So as her story began to unravel, I'm like, why does it have to be tied to deceit? That was the thing that was like so disheartening for me, because it was great. Most of us that are entrepreneurs, that are business owners, and we utilize these social media platforms to, build brand awareness, to showcase our businesses, just to get the word about our brands out there. All of us would love to have a huge astronomical brand, like one that she built, right? So when it started to unravel, I was like, oh my gosh, why did it have to be based off of deceit? That was the unfortunate part. But
Yeah.
so that was one of the pieces, right? Creating an empowering narrative. Another piece was the community building. So she cultivated a sense of exclusivity and empowerment within her followers, And that often positioned her as a mentor for struggling individuals. I noticed that her main target audience were single women or single mothers. Okay. And then also, she called her followers cousins. So, using that term, hey cousins, it creates an emotional link, and it makes it made her followers feel like they had some sort of connection to her, some
Mhm.
sort of closeness to her. So that doing that, which was, I think that was a really cool tactic that she created. But doing that, it only exploded her brand more and more over time. Another piece I noticed is that, again, as I mentioned, she really dominated social media, particularly Facebook and Instagram.
Mhm.
If you noticed, a lot of the content that she shared, it was filled with aspirational content such as luxurious purchases, lavish trips, family milestones, and testimonials from her courses.
Mhm.
Now, again, part of the unraveling when it came to the testimonies, it was revealed. I don't think I need to say allegedly, because I mean, hey, she's serving time now, and the
Yeah.
story is out there. All you have to do is just do some searches, and you'll find it, right? But it was revealed that a lot of her testimonials were fake.
Oh, wow.
A lot of them were fake.
Hmm.
And when I caught wind of that, I went over to her page and I did a deep dive myself. And I noticed whenever she would post a testimonial, she would post their picture, but it was always a professional headshot, just a
Mhm.
professional headshot, plain background, and then um, a very carefully crafted and curated post. And
Huh.
it was never, I mean, she rarely tagged the person that was in the image.
Gotcha.
So that definitely set off some sirens and some red flags when I saw that. So yeah, that was another revelation, that a lot of her testimonies were fake. Also, that she paid a lot of people to produce a testimony for her.
Mhm.
Right. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And then the last piece that I noticed was, she created a lot of shock value and relatability. Again, relatability through calling her followers cousins. And then
Mhm.
also by sharing dramatic aspects of her past, right? Such as the drug dealing and surviving DV, especially surviving DV, because unfortunately, so many women have experienced that.
Yeah.
And when you really look into who the target audience is, single women that are dealing with financial struggles, or single mothers, they definitely fall into that pool of, unfortunately, having experienced some sort of DV in their past. Right. So by her
Mhm.
sharing that story again, it strengthens the resonance and the connection emotionally. Okay.
Yeah.
And she just added those layers of relatability and shock value. And again, that played a major, major role in exploding her brand. So these were some of the branding and marketing techniques and strategies that I was
Mhm.
able to identify. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, psychology is all wrapped up in branding and marketing, as you well know. And everything that she did is pretty much um what businesses do. I mean, aside from like the fake reviews, I don't think anybody should do that. I think that is a very it's just a dangerous game to do that, to get fake reviews and to like um buy the bots that respond to your, because I think that might have been what the 10,000 responses and likes were. I think that you can
Hmm.
buy bots that will automatically just, like your posts and things like that. So,
That is
um,
true.
I never ever recommend anybody do that.
Hmm.
But again, everything that she did feeds back into that fight flight response, that fear, you know, the fear of, because really you could say, oh, they're just greedy. But really, when people do things like that to build up their business, to build up a platform, to create the illusion that they have this wealth and this massive following and that everybody loves them and people are always, waiting to hear what they have to say. Basically, what that is a fear of failing. I'm fearful that if I don't bend the rules and break the laws and play unfairly, that I will not succeed. This is not going to happen for me. Instead of her building that over time, over years, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, like it was like something like overnight she hit, or am I getting the two influences mixed up? I might be thinking about Super Scent. But did she hit like $1 million or something like that overnight or whatever? I can't remember.
There were on two different occasions. She hit $1 million, I think the first time or the second time. But at one point, she hit $1 million within 40 minutes. And then there was another situation where she hit $1 million in 8 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I wonder how true that was. You know what I mean? Like, how do we know?
Well, there was someone that corroborated the story, Patrick Tate, which is one of the unfortunate victims that she put a price on his head, right? She put a price on his head. He said that he was actually there with her.
Okay.
Yeah, and the computer was open, and she was like, I need someone to be here with me to see this.
Okay.
And he was there with her. So he corroborated, and he said it was definitely true. It happened. But see, this happening was way after she had built the following that she built and the trust, right? So she had the people, because before all of this started to come to light, the last time I checked, she had over 400,000 followers on Facebook, just Facebook alone. So when you think about that number and you kind of break it down with the engagement and those that truly invested in her brand, and then also her price point as well. Her price point was it was really ridiculous. And we'll get into that. That was a part of the reason why Sherelle Hodge decided to go on TikTok and start exposing her, telling her story. Hey, this is what happened. But her price point was really ridiculous for what she was offering. So if you think about her selling one of her digital courses for $2,000, and then you have a certain amount of people that will invest in that, I can see that happening.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Big time. Yeah, she could hit that in no time.
Right.
With a following of 400,000, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel that, while the branding and the marketing tactic and the strategy was brilliant, right? All of it wasn't honest. And I just feel like eventually that energy catches up with you, because everything is energy. And when you do something that is dishonest, it is very few people who are able to do things dishonestly without having a little bit of regret and a little bit of guilt behind it. So there are very few people who are able to operate like that. And those who can operate like that, they usually have some sort of personality disorder. So what happens is that energy of guilt and a little bit of like, oh, I kind of feel bad about this, but I don't care. I got to keep doing it. That energy starts to manifest, and you begin to manifest scenarios that will correct you. People don't realize that that's how what we call karma and things like that. That's really the mechanics behind it, is that you carry the energy of, I feel bad about this. Even though I'm going to do it, I still feel bad a little bit, just a little bit, even if it's just like the mustard seed size of guilt and feeling bad and a little bit regretful. That can start to create a scenario where your subconscious mind is putting you in a position where eventually you have to deal with that guilt. Everything that we feel deep within the core of our being, eventually we get into a space where we have to face that. And I believe that that's what happened in Ashley's case, you know. And I believe the chick that exposed her, that started exposing her, showed up. That was the manifestation of the guilt and a little bit of regret that she had about doing what she did. So the young
Right.
lady who started exposing her was the representation of that. Then Ashley's guilt, Ashley's fear kicked in. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, I got to fix this now. Let me clean this up. So then that's where the whole, paying somebody to unalive them, that's where that came in. And that never, when you operating from a space of fear and nervousness, and you don't know what to do, and you make decisions based off of that energy that you're in, of course you're going to get caught. Of course you're going to land yourself in prison doing a 10-year bid.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up because that is where all of the cracks began to show, right? So this is when Ashley started facing backlash online. And it wasn't just Sherelle Hodge. There were an ample amount of customers that started to accuse her of her deceptive practices and scams. So those allegations called into question the integrity of her digital training empire, which I believe the name of it is Digital Recipe. And then from there, things just took a darker turn. So let's go ahead and break that down. So after Sherelle Hodge decided to go on TikTok and air her out, her and her husband, Joshua Grayson, she aired them out. She's mentioned that she purchased one of their credit repair courses. I think at the time the name of it was Credit Pie. And it's like a credit monitoring service. So she would get notifications through Credit Pie, hey, XYZ was removed off of your credit report. But Sherelle Hodge was smart enough to log into the main three credit bureaus. She logged into the accounts and she noticed that those accounts were still on her report. So you have Credit Pie saying, hey, we removed this from your credit report. You're all good. But then when she logged into, let's say, Equifax or Experian, it was still there. So then she was like, something's not right here. So she asked for a refund. All she really wanted was a refund because she was like, your credit monitor service is not working. You know, it's telling me one thing, it's showing me one thing. But when I actually go to the big boys, those that are established and have the credibility of doing this work for many, many years, it's showing that it's still there. So, you know, I'm no longer trusting this service. I want my money back. And that's when things just kind of went downhill from there. So after she got called out by Sherelle, many other people that was speaking out as well, they decided to create this group on Facebook. And when I saw the amount of people that was in that group, I'm like, wow, I don't know what the number is now, but at that time it was over 40,000. Now, mind you, not everyone in the group, because of course you had people in there being nosy.
Right.
You had some of her cousins that were still in support of her in there as well. But I would say maybe a good 40% of those people. So that's still a big number out of 40,000. And as I'm reading through the post, you know, all of them are expressing their grievances and they're like, I'm glad that someone that has the platform is finally speaking out. And that's when everything started to unravel.
Wow.
So Olivia Johnson. Okay, Olivia Johnson was someone that she was just a supporter. She used to repost a lot of Ashley's content, and Olivia, she had a big following on her own. She was pretty trustworthy in her community, so she brought a lot of people over to Ashley as well. And so let's get into this story. There's so much to unpack with this lady. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay, so did you hear about Ashley purchasing a home for Olivia's mom? And they had it
Yes.
broadcasted on the news and everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So Oh my goodness. It's like the more the layers were peeled back, I'm like, wow, this lady literally built her brand off of smoke and mirrors, manipulation,
Mhm.
deceit. It's incredible. It's mind
Mhm.
blowing. Okay, so she purchased the home for Olivia's mom, but there was some sort of clause that stipulated if something happened to the mother, the home will go back to Ashley.
Right.
So the mother really, he didn't outright own the home, which I think that was messed up. I think
Yeah.
if you're going to give someone something, gift it to them, right? And then she put together this whole marketing campaign because it was broadcasted on the news station out in the state that they were in. And of course that brought in a new boatload of followers, because now people are seeing this story on the news and they're like, oh my god, who is this philanthropic lady that's giving away homes? Right now they're
Mhm.
interested in her, so that blew up her brand and her Facebook and other social media platforms even more. Now once Olivia discovered that clause and she understood what it was, she use that against Ashley. So in between all of this, now Ashley is being exposed, right? You have a lot of people sounding the alarm. So Ashley decides to put prices on three people's heads, which is so crazy to me because even though I'm not saying that it should have only been Cheryl Hodge, because that shouldn't have happened anyway.
Right.
But all of this started because Cheryl Hodge had the following, and she's decided to air out Ashley's deceptive business
Mhm.
practices. Okay.
Mhm.
But she used that as an opportunity to add two more people to the roster. So we have Patrick Tate, which was an ex lover of hers. And this is the same person who witnessed her making the $1 million in either the 8-minute scenario or the 40-minute scenario. And then she also decided to add Derica Harwell, which was considered a social opponent. Now, let's talk
Mhm.
about Derica Harwell for a little bit.
Mhm.
Oh, and I know I may be all over the place, but it's like the more we hit on certain things, there's other dots that's coming in and being connected. And I'm just like, wow, this whole story is so crazy.
Oh
Now
no,
I
I'm
see why
following.
it's
I'm following. I'm
yeah,
following you.
now I
Yeah.
see why it's so it's as big as it is, and everyone is just mind blown. Like, are you serious? Okay, so Derica Harwell, and the reason why I want to just take a quick turn on Derica Harwell is because this is a story that you and I can definitely um, relate to and understand. Derica
Mhm.
Harwell didn't even know Ashley.
Right.
They were not friends. They never had brunch. They never met in person. Very casual conversations. And the conversations that ensued is because Ashley, she had a little bit of an obsession, and then I'll say allegedly, but just based off of what I read and what I've gathered, it seemed like she had a little obsession with her.
Mhm.
Um, she had an obsession with her, so she would reached out to her from time to time and would strike up a conversation with her and things of that nature. Derica Harwell was also, I don't know if she still is, but she was also in the credit repair industry as well. She had her own
Mhm.
following. She was doing very, very well financially, and I believe that Ashley wanted some of what Derica had. So
Mhm.
she just had this obsession with her, and in her mind, Derica became an opponent. So her reaching out to her was her trying to get close enough to her to eventually destroy her in some kind of way at some point.
Interesting.
Right?
Mhm.
If the Red Room for Hire plot didn't take place, at some point there would have been some type of public falling out between them that would have commenced on Ashley's side at some
Mhm.
point.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, Derica Harwell ended up on this list and having a price put on her head for no other reason outside of jealousy.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. I mean, it's crazy, but it's very common.
Yeah,
Unfortunately. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm, mm, mm.
So she hired Olivia Johnson and Olivia's husband to unalive these three people.
Now, who was Olivia Johnson and her husband? How were they affiliated with Ashley?
So they were affiliated with Ashley because Olivia's mom is the one that was gifted the house
Oh,
by
okay.
Ashley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Okay.
but check this out. Because Ashley, quote unquote, now say quote unquote, because the house, with that clause, it really wasn't hers, right? So quote unquote, Ashley gifted Olivia's mom this house. In turn, Olivia felt indebted to Ashley.
Wow.
So Ashley used that and tried to manipulate her by getting her to unalive these three people. And I guess she figured, well, you're already a criminal anyway. Both you and your husband have done time for, whatever the felonies are. I haven't really done any research on that. But, whatever they did in their past, they've done some time. So I guess she figured, between your admiration and your appreciation for what I've done to your mom, on top of you already being a criminal, go ahead and do this for
Yeah,
me.
you're gonna do this, right?
Right.
Wow.
Right. Now the question remains, if the situation with the house, if that wasn't a thing, would she have carried out those plots? The
Well,
only
I think
reason why
she.
she didn't carry out those plots is
Mhm.
because she was trying to get Ashley to take her name off of the deed and to eradicate that clause. But Ashley told
Mhm.
her, no, I'm not doing that.
Mhm.
So because of that, she used that as an opportunity to kind of extort Ashley, because Ashley did pay a deposit of, I think, $10,000, and she was going to pay the rest after the job was done.
Mhm.
Right. But since Olivia didn't get her way, she was like, well, I'm not doing it. I'll take your money and I'll make you think I did it, but I'm not doing it. So if that wasn't the case, would Olivia had gone through with the plot? That
I
question
mean,
still remains.
that's a good question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, hopefully not, but at the same time, like Ashley said, you guys are already in that world where you kind of do whatever for money. So,
Hmm.
that kind of behavior pattern and personality doesn't necessarily go away unless there has been some deep work done, inner
Right.
work, some
Hmm.
shifts change, whether you do it, spiritually, whether you go into some sort of religion or whatever. Like usually that's what happens when people make a change in their lives like that. But if they didn't do that, then who knows? They might have gone ahead and gone through with it.
Whew. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's the
crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. That's crazy. So, so according to Olivia, once Olivia, discovered that, hey, she's not going to, take her name off of the deed. Once her and her husband received that paid deposit of $10,000, they promptly spent it at the casino without carrying out the job. Right. So then Ashley had realized that she'd been scammed. So she took a drastic step by calling the FBI and claiming that Olivia was extorting her.
Oh, Lord.
So she basically snitched on herself,
Oh, my goodness.
right? So she didn't count on the fact that the FBI was going to launch their own investigation into her activities.
Oh, my goodness. So did she tell them I paid these people to carry out this plan and they stole my money?
Well, she didn't tell them about the plan itself, right?
Okay.
The red run plot. But
Right.
she did tell them that she was being extorted. I don't know what the full story is. I don't know what she said the actual extortion was, but she did say that she was being extorted by Olivia.
She should have just kept her mouth closed and
And just let it go.
charged that 10 grand to the game, honey.
Mhm.
If you really
Mhm.
got it the way you say you got it, 10 grand is not much,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Wow. Wow, wow. But you see,
Right.
that goes right back into what I said before. Eventually, that energy will catch up to you. And you see, she
Mhm.
told on herself.
She told on herself.
That's usually how it
And
happens.
that's why I said this exposure energy,
Yeah,
no one is safe. You can find yourself in a situation where you're exposing yourself.
absolutely.
No matter
100%.
how meticulous or careful you are,
Uh-huh.
you can find yourself exposing yourself.
Yep. Because that's just how the energy is set up right now,
Right.
you know?
Right. No one is safe. Everybody can get it.
Everybody can get it. Everybody can get it.
Mhm.
So be careful out there, y'all. You know what I mean? Like, make sure you do everything with integrity. And if it's
Yes.
something that you feel like you need to, cut corners on, or, be dishonest with people, you need to really, really, really think hard and long about that, because this energy is real. Okay. This
Mhm.
energy is very, very real. And things will be revealed about you. Um, Even if you don't tell on yourself, it's going to be revealed anyway. Somebody's going to find out about it. So just be on the up and up with things. And if you
Mhm.
feel like your back is against the wall and you need to do, strange things to make a buck, then you need to look at yourself and figure out why things aren't going the way you want them to. And then you're going to have to go in and do some inner work. I believe this energy is just pushing people to do the real hard work, you know? Like,
Mhm.
I think we got a chance. We got a glimpse of it in 2020 when everything shut down, right? So people didn't have as much distractions. You couldn't go to work, right? You couldn't go out and party. All you could really do was just stay home and be with yourself or with your loved ones. And eventually, that type of isolation and incubation, you can't help but to think about stuff, right? So, because you don't have the distraction anymore to keep you from paying attention and being aware of your thoughts and your emotions and memories from the past. So, you had a lot of people finally going to therapy. I know, as a hypnotherapist, my business was booming during um, the pandemic, and it was because people were like, I'm just sitting at home, I'm thinking about these things and stuff that I pushed down for so many years. Now I'm not able to do that, so I need to look at it and figure out what's going on with me. And I think we're right back at that space. I think we've been in that space for the past 4 years, but I feel like right now the energy is really, really pushing us to go within, do the healing, and put down those old behaviors, those bad behaviors that hurt other people, hurt us, and take us out of alignment with the things that we're supposed to be doing, the stuff that we're supposed to be focusing on, the life that we're supposed to be living. And it's time to heal stuff. It's just time to heal,
Yeah.
you know, and we're
Mhm.
being thrusted into that right now. And those who don't will watch everything that they've built crumble. We're seeing that happening to some of the most powerful people. So if it can happen to them, don't think it can happen to you.
No
You know?
one is safe. I think I need to put that on a t-shirt.
Uh-huh. No one is safe. And
No
this
one.
energy, you can't see the energy. You know what I mean? You can't see it. It's just
Mhm.
there. It's just
It's just
where we
that.
are. Is where we are. Is the way the planets are aligned right now. You cannot escape it. So you might as well get in alignment with it. And if you've been doing something to people, if you've been, harming people, doing things, doing wrong, you need to start apologizing, and start healing the part of you that's pushing you to do that to people. Because eventually, if you don't do that and you keep going down the road that you're going down, it's going to be a very hard, rocky, and
Yes.
embarrassing, especially if you're in the public eye.
Mhm.
It's going to be very embarrassing for you.
Yeah. So, Cheryl,
Yes,
After
ma'am.
the FBI decided to launch their own investigation into her activities, they ended up collecting over 400 pages of evidence,
Ooh.
okay, which included video surveillance against Ashley and her husband. Um, some of this evidence revealed a web of criminal activity, and it led to both of them being charged with RICO violations, which we know a RICO is a charge typically reserved for organized crime.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get hit with a RICO, that means you have really gotten yourself into some shit, okay?
Oof.
So on October 31st of this year, 2024, Ashley was sentenced on Halloween at that, Cheryl.
Wow.
Yeah, she was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison, which is the maximum sentence for her role in the Red Room for Hire plot, along with 3 years of supervised release. Her husband, Joshua, he faced his own charges, but he was found not guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And to top it off, as I mentioned, she started serving her sentence She started serving her sentence on December 19th, and she is currently pregnant with her third child. So I want you to
Right.
talk a little bit about that because when this investigation started, she got pregnant with the first child, and
Right.
then she ended up pregnant with the second child. Now she's pregnant with the third child. And I believe that the judge caught on to what she was doing
Mm-hmm.
because when she was in court during her sentencing, the judge, she wanted to appeal it because she's pregnant. And the judge was like, yeah, I pretty much figured that you were going to say that. But there is a facility that takes great care of mothers who are, yeah, so you'll be fine.
Oh my
But I want you
goodness.
to talk about the psychological piece behind that. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Well, I feel like, I cannot diagnose Ashley, but that is very narcissistic behavior. To basically use a child as a protective shield, basically putting your child out in front of you to say, wait, please don't do this to me because I have this baby, and continue to pop out babies just to keep you out of prison. You know, again, is self-absorbed. It's like I said, it's very narcissistic. I don't know if she's a narcissist, but there is something there where because that's a highly narcissistic quality, a trait to utilize your children um, as a body shield, from
Mm-hmm.
whatever's happening to you, and to make people feel sorry for you. And to kind of, because she would have just, if they would have kept pushing back her sentencing because she was getting pregnant, Ashley probably would have had till 10 children just to keep from going to jail,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. Um, but again, it's that fear, that fight flight. Like, what am I going to do? What can I do? Like, she's hitting walls. So she's saying, "Oh, I know what I can do. I can get pregnant. I can keep having a baby." And I believe the chick. Oh my God, what is her name? Elizabeth, the billionaire who started the blood transfusion business.
Yes,
She did the same thing.
she did.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
she did the same thing. So again, there's this like delusion, these delusions of grandeur, that
Mm-hmm.
I'm more important, I'm bigger, I'm better than everybody else, I'm smarter than everybody, blended in with that narcissistic pattern
Mm-hmm.
is what we're seeing with her, and I mean, you have to think that you're bigger and better and above the law to put a hit out on somebody, not just one person, but three people. That's a
Yeah,
that's a lot.
that is a lot.
That's a lot. And these people didn't even do anything to you. Like, they didn't. I'm sorry, somebody airing you out and calling you out on your shit is not harming you. That's them putting the spotlight on you because you're doing something wrong. And if
Right.
somebody has a problem with being called out because they've done something wrong, or they've cheated, or they've been running a scam, and then they put a hit out on you, that means that they think they're above the law.
But that makes me think about the effort she put into masking and hiding any sort of negative reviews. So this is something else that I discovered. She got to a point where she hired people to delete comments.
Oh,
So when
wow.
people, so there were times where she would put up a post, and you had people in the comments attempting to air her out and talk about her, half-assed courses and some of her deceptive practices. But because the comments were in high amounts, like she would get a lot of comments at one time, she hired people to kind of man her comment section. So whenever, almost like, when we assign someone that moderator role on YouTube, right? So she had moderators to kind of man her comment section. So whenever they would, share a comment that was unfavorable or something that she didn't want revealed or exposed, she would have them to delete the comment and then block the person. She was notorious for blocking people. So that's why, whenever you would go to her page and you would kind of just, scan through her posts and her comments and just looking through her engagement, you would only see just, lighthearted and fun conversations, right? No, that's because she curated it to be that way.
Wow.
Right. So that's why you have so many people in that group, because that was like their sounding board to say, yes, I have been trying to tell people for a very long time. So I'm so glad that this is finally happening. Yeah. So
That
because
sounds very familiar.
yes, very familiar, right? So because just with that, with how hard she worked to not have the truth about her practices and a lot of the services that she offered revealed, Sherelle had the following on TikTok. So because she couldn't control what was being said, then she resorted to, you know what, I just want her up out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, since we're having this conversation, add this person and this person to the list. I just want them up out of here. One person, because you used to date him, and he may have some information on you that you don't want him to eventually start airing out. And another person from pure jealousy, because you want to destiny swap with her. That's
Oh,
what it was.
Lord. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy work, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't even imagine going through all the trouble. I just can't imagine it. I mean, she would have done better saying, you know what, guys? Yes, that is exactly what happened. I apologize. I did get my first million through, the payout from my lawsuit. And, I started this business and I just really wanted to inspire people. So that's why I didn't tell people that. Like, people don't know how to spin things, like she should have invested in a good PR person to help her spin how her apology was going to come off to people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And how to redo her branding or whatever. She could have hired you to redo her branding to help her, come across in a different light. Or create a whole nother persona or program based off of what she went through,
Right.
But yeah, it's just really sad to see that, because I know the both of us enjoy seeing women, especially women of color, Black women, succeed and grow. And I love it when I see a successful Black
Yeah.
woman making her money, doing her thing, growing her following, sharing and helping people. I love that. And I
Yeah.
support it. And I love to see a lot of that happening. And I would love to see more of that happening. But unfortunately, a lot of times we see these women being involved in scandals and scams and misrepresenting themselves a lot. And it's very disappointing. And I think that it's disheartening, because you have a lot of people out here who are inspired by that,
Right.
And they are inspired by their stories and inspired by how they've pulled themselves up by the bootstraps and helped themselves. So when they get caught up in these scandals, it's almost like, well, dang, who do we turn to now? Like, what do we
Hmm.
do now? Like, who can I trust? Who can I follow? And but I think also, like the two of us have discussed previously, the energy is also pushing us to stop having to look to other people
Yes.
and look
That's
look
a
look
big,
within. Yeah.
right. That's a big part of this energy because it's all about exposing and revealing who these people truly are so that we can see, hey, you're no different than me. You've
Right.
just managed to deceptively manipulate people into believing this falsified image that you created, but you're no different than me, right? So I don't have to
Mhm.
look to you. I can go within, work on myself, believe in myself more, and just
Mhm.
do whatever work that needs to be done so I can get to this place I aspire to be at. I don't have to look to anyone outside of me.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I don't need anybody to hold my hand,
right.
I don't need anyone to hold my hand. Nobody has the answer. Only you do. Some people can, be an example, but they are not the answer. They are an example, and that is it. You
Hmm.
know, they're not the
Hmm.
exception to the rule. They are an example of what can happen when you decide that you're going to do something. The only difference between the people who have made it versus the people who have not is that those people have decided that they're going to do something, and they stay focused, and they keep going no matter how long it takes. Now, the slip up happens when they try to take a shortcut,
Yeah,
you know, and you pay for those shortcuts. You pay dearly for those. Eventually they're going to come back to bite you in the booty. So it might take time, and no one I know has really done it overnight. The people that I know who are super successful, it took years and years and years for them to reach that level of success. And the ones who say, "Oh, I did it in a year. I did it in, 6 months." Your eyebrows need to raise all the way up when you hear something like that.
I agree.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so let's talk about the ruler archetype that Ashley embodies. So this is something that I decided to start doing for our exposés because I've
okay.
noticed that many of them they fall into a brand archetype, which is a framework that we typically use to have our brands model after so that our target audience can resonate with the brand based on the archetype, and that's just part of attracting our target audience to us. So in this case, I was able to identify that Ashley embodied the ruler archetype. So the ruler thrives on control, influence, and creating a prosperous kingdom for their followers. Ashley's entire brand was built around this particular archetype because she portrayed herself as this self made queen who could help others achieve financial independence, right? But here's the problem: when the ruler's need for control turns into manipulation, deceit, and coercion, the archetype's shadow side takes over. So Ashley's desire to silence her critics, or all of everyone that was airing her out and attempting to expose her, right? So her attempt to silence them and to maintain her umpire at all costs revealed this darker side, which eventually led to her downfall.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yep.
That makes so much sense. I mean, and it comes back to that the fear of losing, you know? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that is something that all rulers have. Like they fear losing their power, losing their position,
Mm-hmm.
losing their crown.
Yeah.
Wow.
All rulers, right? Right. Yeah.
All of them, all
Mm-hmm.
rulers, all I mean, if you go throughout history and just read, um, the things that they have done to maintain power,
Mm-hmm.
it usually involves, getting rid of people, and by any means necessary,
Mm-hmm.
slandering people, um, you know, putting false accusations on people to move them out of the way,
Right.
blocking their success in some way, shape, or form, blackballing them
Mm-hmm.
from a particular industry or, just getting people to turn against them. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
I know, right?
So
So
interesting.
so interesting. So what can we learn from Ashley Grayson's rise and fall? I'll let you kick that off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that the need to be at the top and the need to have the most and be adored and worshiped can be incredibly dangerous and detrimental to you.
Yeah.
I would say instead of going for that, instead of needing to be right, needing to be the one, needing to be the one that wears the crown, the one that people bow down to and worship,
Mhm.
instead of needing that, you need to check in and say, why do I need that? Ask yourself, why do I need that? What is it going to do for me? And what in me feels like I'm not already that,
Mhm.
you know? Because if you can just be that for yourself, you don't really need anybody else to do that for you. And most of the time, when you can't be that for yourself, it's because you don't think that you are enough. You're probably operating off of some sort of insecurity. You're definitely operating from a deficit, which just means that there's a part of you that doesn't believe that you already are that without the money, the accolades, the recognition, the title, and the following.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that Ashley's story is yet just another example of the energy of exposure, as we've discussed, right? When the glamours begin to fade and the truth always finding a way to surface.
Hmm.
So, just kind of piggybacking off of what you said earlier, walk in integrity, walk in honesty, walk in truth. It's so much easier to align yourself with just honesty, transparency, and truth. And people will respect you more
Hmm.
for your truth. Like, because you're showing I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. I don't have it all together, but what I know.
That's right.
Right? What I know. And what I'm able to do, I'm able to do. And if I aspire to learn more or do more or be more, I'm currently working toward that. But I can still be great with what I currently have and what I currently know in this moment. Right.
Hmm.
And this is my truth. This is who I am. So you don't have to worry or find yourself in a space or in a situation where you're being exposed and everything that you've falsely and fraudulently and deceptively created begins to unravel. And then people really see you for who you are. Now you are greatly embarrassed
Yep.
and you have no choice but to run and hide,
Yep.
So,
Unfortunately, or try to off people,
right.
which is definitely not the way to go, clearly. If you enjoy waking up in the morning and doing whatever you wanna do, you
And
know?
having your freedom. Could you imagine? She had a
No.
beautiful home in North
Mhm.
Carolina, 7 bathrooms, 5 bedrooms. Beautiful home. She called the mansion. She showcased it a lot on social media. And, could you imagine going
Mm.
from that to being behind bars and your every move is controlled and dictated by someone else for 10 years?
And you cannot raise your children
And you can't raise your children.
that you birthed to protect you from doing that 10 years.
Yeah, selfish.
Ridiculous,
Yeah.
ridiculous, ridiculous.
And then Unfortunately, your third child has to be or has to come into the world under that circumstance because you're
Yeah.
currently locked up now, and I think she may be, I don't know, I'm guessing maybe 6 to 8 weeks,
Oh
at the
man,
most. Yeah.
that baby's gonna be born in prison.
Yeah.
That's terrible. But you know what?
Yeah.
She made that choice. She did that. So I mean, hopefully she will heal while she's in there. I hope. You know, 10 years is a long time for you to reflect on yourself and make right within, what
Mhm.
you've done. So, and thankfully no one was harmed. Nobody actually got hurt, aside from the people who lost money or got scammed or didn't get what they thought they were going to get. But thankfully no one was physically harmed.
Yeah. Thankfully.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully.
Wow, man. Wow, wow, wow. So interesting.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, my closing remarks, my reflection, is that her case it's more than just a cautionary tale.
Mhm.
It's a reminder that no brand is untouchable.
Yeah.
No brand is untouchable. No one is untouchable. Authenticity and integrity are not optional, they are essential. The truth will always come to light.
Yes, it will.
So you can build these incredible businesses, these incredible brands, on social media, but your business and your brand is only an extension of you.
Mhm.
Again, pointing the finger right back to you,
Yep.
which ties into a lot that you have shared, throughout this segment, that it's important for us to always be one with ourselves, always go within, do the work, take care of the parts of you that need the healing, and you'll thank yourself for it in the long run.
Absolutely. And even if it takes a little bit longer, it's okay. If
Mhm.
you're rushing it, it means that you don't trust that it's going to happen and that it's going to happen at the right time. Trying to rush it, trust me, that's going to cause you to cut corners. It's going to cause you to um, do things that are out of alignment with the purpose and the energy and the mission of whatever your plan is. You want to stay in alignment with your purpose and your mission. And if anything takes you away from that, then that's an indicator that you're heading in the wrong direction and that is not the right move. Because like Levette
100%.
said, yeah, like Levette said, the truth is like a sword. It will cut through all lies, all cloaking, all glamours,
Hmm.
all magic, all anything that you've hidden. I don't care how deep down you've buried it. Believe me, that bone is gonna fly up out of that closet sooner or later. Sooner or later, it's gonna
Yeah,
happen. Yep.
because all there is truth. I during one of my moments of being in a meditative state, I got a revelation that the true religion, even though there's many denominations, and I know, hey, believe in whatever you want to believe in. That's our right. That's our free will. We have the free will to do that. But at the source of it all, the one true religion is truth, because all there is truth.
That's all
Like
there
right
is.
now, I'm looking at my bookshelf right now, and it's true that my bookshelf is in front of me. That's the
Hmm.
truth, right?
Hmm.
So all there is truth.
That's it.
So no matter how much you, like you said, no matter how much you try to mask it, try to cloak it, try to suppress it, it is always going to rise and reveal itself.
Hmm.
You know. All
Amen
right.
to that, sister.
Amen to that. Anything else you'd like to share before we close out?
No, ma'am. I am complete. This was such a fun analysis.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today on another episode here at Deceptive Figures Exposed. Make sure you stay tuned as we continue to uncover the glamours, illusions, and truths behind the public personas shaping our culture. Until next time, Stay vigilant and discerning.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace.
I don't know what you want from me. It's like you playing a game of Bloody Mary or something. But here I go. Here I go.
Zeno, you killing it.
Rain. Such a shame I gotta do this to you, but you keep poking and prying, so I'ma give it to you. Anytime I see you, know what's up with me. Why you keep on calling my name? What you want from me? Could it be the fortune and fame you gain from energy? A predator is who you be. Unbind those energies so we can see that you really weak. Tell your minions stand down. They don't really want this heat. Tell them that this war that we in, it's just you and me. All those curses flow from your grin. I speak it fluently. Talking about what you gonna do to me. I violate you intrusively. Pay your damn bill, that tax lien is waiting patiently. Get the gab is all we see. Foot on neck so you can't breathe. Bet you didn't know I was a beast when I ride the beat. Standing 10 toes down in my lane. I don't know defeat. Now I'm calling my energy back to me happily, but actually the savage me is ready for a massacre. Just in case you was confused, that was a wordplay on massacre. Yeah. You want to keep going back and forth? Round for round? Pound for pound? Let's go. Or stand down. You unleashed the beast. First lady.